What's going on, guys? Captain Cody Davis here. Welcome to another episode of Tight Splice Charters. I really got to think of a new intro or something to switch it up because I think I literally say that on every single video and it's kind of getting tiring. But we'll work on that. But we're going to talk about, do another little tip video today. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite ways to catch a bass, and that's punching. Anything flipping related. Flipping a 3/4 ounce with a beaver, flipping a big jig, punching mats, what have you. Anything flipping related is my favorite way to catch a bass on this planet. I just love the short little combat style fishing. If I can catch them that way, that's the way I'm going to do it. And I never thought I'd get to talk about punching mats again out here on Lake Okeechobee, the way the lake was set up for the past 2 years. We had a really low lake, which I am a fan of. Don't get it twisted. I love the low lake. But between that and the spraying that we had going on here, I didn't think we'd ever have good, healthy mats again. But we have them, and we have honestly too many of them. The whole north end of the lake is essentially just a giant mat. We got chop grass mats, we got hyacinth mats, we got plenty of pennywort mats, we've got hydrilla mats, laid over hydrilla, we've got everything. If you want to come down here and flip, this is a good time. They just started letting water out of the lake now, which they really needed to do, but it'll be a while before the lake gets super low again, especially with all the rain we've been having. And some of these mats we have right now have 3, 4, 5 feet of water underneath them. It's insane. But we're not really going to talk about what to look for and things like that. Maybe that'll come in another video. This time we're going to talk about what the best bait to flip in a mat down here on Lake Okeechobee is, in my opinion. So we'll start by saying this. In this time of year, the way the lake's set up right now, we have a high lake coming into the cold weather months. I'm never going to leave the dock without 3 flipping rods on the deck of my boat. And that's just because that's my comfort zone. That's what I like to do. I'm going to have something like a 3/4 ounce rigged up with probably a beaver style bait for flipping sparser stuff, sparse cattails, isolated reed clumps, what have you, things like that. Then I'm going to move up to one that's like 1.25 ounces. That's to get through my my chop grass mats, my lighter pennywort mats, things like that are kind of blown in up in these reed clumps. And then I'm going to have a big rod for 1.5 ounces to a 2 ounce. I really, really, really try to stay away from a 2 ounce weight. I don't like it. If I can get by with 1.5 ounces, that's my favorite. 2 ounces is just big. Sometimes you have to. I have a 2 ounce rigged up in the boat right now. Especially the way the wind's been blowing and how packed in these mats are, sometimes you have to go to a 2 ounce, but you are going to lose some fish. But right now, the one I have here, this is 1.5 ounces rigged up with a 5/0 hack attack hook, and this is a Missile Baits D-bomb on here. And we're just going to talk about, like I said, what the go-to bait is down here. Now, most of you are probably looking at this thinking, well, it's probably a D-bomb. Here's the deal. There's no such thing. And I've said this before when it came to pitching, but I really, really mean it down here when it comes to punching mats. In my opinion, there's no secret bait. It don't matter what the hell you have on here to go through that mat. What you're looking for is for what fits best on your setup. You're going to go out and say a tungsten weight's a tungsten weight, a flipping hook's a flipping hook, and that's totally not true. Every tungsten weight is a slightly different shape. There's 20,000 different flipping hooks out there. So you got to find what fits on your flipping terminal tackle the best, okay? Now, I love flipping this Missile Baits D-bomb. This is probably my favorite flipping bait out there, but I really only like flipping this on a 3/4 ounce. When I'm flipping sparse stuff, when I'm not really trying to get through anything, because this bait is thin, which allows for good hook sets, but a lot of times that hook will penetrate through and it's going to get you snagged up in the mats and all that stuff. Okay, so also another thing that I do, most people are going to punch with a 4/0 hook. They like flipping a smaller hook because it's more sleek, it goes through the mats better, and I totally agree, but I just like the 5/0 hack attack. Most people out here flip the 4/0, or they flip the 5/0 heavy cover Gamakatsu hook. That's a big one. But they might flip 3 or 4 different types of weights. They might flip a Bass Addiction flat out tungsten. They might flip an arc. I don't even know which one this is. It's either an arc tungsten or a flat out tungsten. I don't even remember. They might flip a hog tech weight, and they're all going to sit and configure baits differently. So for me, the one that I think flips, that holds the big weight and the big hook the best, this is a Gambler burner crawl. Now, for the times that I do flip a 4/0 hook, Bruiser just came out with a Mac Daddy. It's a small craw bait works very well, and that holds like my 1.25 ounce and my 4/0 hook very well. But 9 times out of 10, I'm flipping the 5/0 Hack Attack hook. I like the big hook, and these weights, this look at that, nice streamline, and it's going to go through the mat very well. Because here's the deal. It doesn't matter what goes through that mat, in my opinion. I don't think they're looking at it. I don't think they give a damn. I think that thing is rocketing by their face, and their instinct is to grab it. Brandon McMillan, he is somewhat family now. He's related to my wife. He's my wife's cousin, so this might be a biased opinion. But my opinion, he is one of the best grass flippers out there. Okay, he set the FLW record out here punching these mats, and he will tell you the man who taught him how to flip mats never pegged his weight. Okay, now it's a standard. Everyone flips bobber stops and/or they put a peg in their weight. Okay, so that goes through as one unit. It shoots through the mat, so that's all one thing, and that's the way I like it. But a lot of the old school guys, they do not peg their weight. Denny Brower is another one who does not like to peg his weight. Brandon says a lot of the times that gentleman would flip onto a mat, the bait would get stuck on the mat, and the weight would fall down into the mat. And he said, you wouldn't believe the amount of bites he would get. The fish would thump the line, but he couldn't hook the fish because the hook's up here on the mat, and this would fall through, and they'd eat the weight. At the end of the day, they do not care. They don't care. I can't tell you how many times I flipped in the mats with this burner crawl, and a cichlid or a brim has ripped my legs off, and this is all I'm flipping. It's essentially just a hunk of plastic, and catch just as many 6-7 pounders on this. Better, and this is not me not just saying this, I rip all these little appendages off just so they go through the mat better. So that's essentially what I was flipping, and I've caught true giant fish just flipping this around. Because it doesn't matter. In my opinion, all this bait is doing is holding your hook. So that's why I'm telling you, you need to match up, and this might sound stupid to a lot of you, but you need to match up whatever soft plastic bait holds your setup and keeps it the straightest and keeps the most weedless, holds your bait the best on your particular setup. Some of you might like flipping with an EWG hook in the big mats. Nothing wrong with that. Find a bait that's going to hold your hook and hold your tungsten on there the best. Another thing I do, or I don't do, I don't snell my hooks. I don't. I've never lost a fish in a mat where I said, damn, I wish I would have had a snelled hook. I don't snell my hooks. I use a double uni knot for everything, or a uni knot, but I pass it through the eye twice for whatever reason. I just do it. I've never had it pull. And the other thing is I get frustrated very easily. If you're punching those mats and every time you go to pull your bait up out of the mat, that hook kicks up and it snags the underside of that mat, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to put it down. At least I do. So I just use a regular uni knot, and I've never had a problem with it. Fish what you have confidence in. A lot of people are in. Like I said, this isn't talking about flipping sparse cover. Sparse cover, I do get picky. I mean, I really favor this Missile Baits D-Bomb, as you guys see in my videos. It's one of my favorites. And, a beaver style bait, some with a little bit bigger profile. But when it comes to punching through heavy cover, a mat of any sort, in my opinion, it don't matter. It's dark as hell under there. They're laid up under there trying to keep cold, and this thing rockets by their face. All they know is something is shooting by them, and their instinct is to grab it. Now, sometimes you might have it where you need to pump the bait and hold it at the top of the mat. Then you might want to start thinking about putting a prettier looking bait on there. But 9 times out of 10, your bite is going to come on the fall. So I really don't think it matters. And if, like I said, you listen to that Brandon experience I told you where they would literally eat the weight going through there, I think you could agree with me. A lot of times it doesn't matter. So don't overthink it. Fish what you have confidence in. There is no secret bait for flipping the mats down here on Lake Okeechobee, in my opinion. I mean, I have them all different baits thrown in one bag. But the burner crawl is definitely my favorite. Holds my flipping setup the best when going through the mats, and I very rarely ever have to go in there and pull it out and it very rarely gets hung up, is what I'm trying to say. Very rarely gets snagged. It holds my setup very well, so that's what I use. Other than that, very standard. I flip it on 65-pound braid. This is Suffolk's Performance braid. Never broken it. Not one time. It's loud. It's thick. It's stiff. It's all of those things you don't want in braid, but it does not break. And that's most important to me, so I can kind of learn to live with everything else. And I flip it on a 7-Eleven heavy flipping rod like everyone else does. But that's it. This might sound really stupid to you guys. You guys might have just wasted 10 minutes and 11 seconds of your life watching my video, but I appreciate you guys watching. Tie lines.